Today we're going to chat with another lovely young lady who's helping out with collective calling. Her name is Affy. And Paul contacted me to say, we are so desperate for volunteers. Please, please help us. And of course, that's what the last 11 weeks basically has been about, keeping people with a roof over their head, keeping them fed, and particularly keeping them fed. Normal, everyday people don't have food to eat because they weren't getting paid and they don't have a job, and not much on the horizon in that respect for many. So Affy, welcome to Marbella Now. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise. Thanks for having us.
So how did you get involved with collective calling? Let's just start there.
Well, I have been volunteering since September. A very good friend of mine, Ariel, was working intimately with collective calling, and she was a dear friend of mine. We had kids that were playmates, and so I got involved, and I knew some families personally in need in San Pedro. So at that point, it was I think it was like 60 or 70 mouths were being fed at that point, and now we're over 1,000.
And is that 1,000 on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? How can we get a grip to what we're really talking about here?
Well, actually in May, it was 2,226 souls were fed, and we're talking about 620 families. So as you can see, I mean, for me, serving beforehand and seeing now, you really see the complete difference in the desperation of these families that are in need.
Can you give us a little outline to the type of families we're talking about so people can relate? It's very hard when we hear information, so make it a little bit more real.
Well, I think a lot of times we take for granted how many people are working on the groundwork of our social structure, you know, people who are house cleaners, construction workers, gardeners, working in little coffee shops and restaurants, or waiters. And so I think everyone can imagine, with a lockdown such as this, the impact, the social implications it has to the vast majority of our society. We have a lot of immigrants as well. We have Spanish families that have, these are people, all of these people are people living paycheck to paycheck. They don't, unfortunately, have the luxury to have savings and own their homes. And so we're dealing with people who live week by week, if they're lucky, month by month, you know. So it's really impacted them. And we do have also a lot of immigrants that are unable to go get help from the government. So, you know, they're stuck because they don't have any paperwork, or they're in the middle of a lot of families in the middle of getting paperwork, and everything's been put on hold. So it's impacting everyone. And I think what we will see is that the impact that it's had on the lower income families will inevitably impact everyone, because we are one, and we're a social system, right? So everything, it's a domino effect.
Apart from the actual physical supplies of food, the logistics involved with organizing even just volunteers. I see this continually through the charities like Kudeka, the Butterfly Children Charity. They AAA, they have to have staff and teams because there's a lot to do, even organizing volunteers. How can we help, Affy? What do you guys most need at the moment in that respect of human resources?
It's endless. So I think, you know, the thing is, if your heart has the desire to serve and you don't have necessarily the financial means, that's not where it ends. We have so many possibilities where collectively we're needing to work together to make this change and this difference. So we have loads of inventory that comes in from people who are donating. And that, because we want to be accountable for everything that's coming in to collective calling, we actually have like a storage unit, and we enter that manually into an Excel sheet. So we're having to have inventory staff, people before the deliveries. We make these family packs. There are volunteers needed to go in and make those family packs. We have a lot of admin that goes into all of this, because before it was you could have it on a sheet of paper, the families that were in need. But now we have so many, when we're talking about over 600 families, you know, that's not just off the top of your head. So on a back end, we have a lot of admin possibilities, people who have any experience in Excel, bilingual speakers. Actually, you don't even need to be bilingual because we have English speaking families. So we need people to call these families, because what Collective Calling is trying to do is not just give food, it's really to be there part of this entire process, coaching these families, aiding them, and seeing how we can help further. So even people calling families to see what are their needs, what are their necessities at this point, and really creating a heart-to-heart connection.
Because as you say, a lot of people don't even know how they're going to begin to get out of the situation they're in. Any guidance and support to know that they're not alone can make a big difference to whether giving up or taking that step forward. So a lot of much needed support in many different angles.
Sorry, I also forgot drivers. We need drivers to deliver to these families. And, you know, I just want to add that, you know, when during the lockdown, we had a flood of volunteers come in. It was absolutely wonderful. But now everyone's getting back into their lives, and, you know, kids are going into summer break and things like that. And if we just all as a community, if everyone just gives a little, it's not too much on anyone, and we get to be a part of a huge social impact. So even, you know, to me, I've been telling friends, any little bit that you can offer is so helpful. I think there's nothing that's too small that could be donated, whether it be your time or resources.
Absolutely fabulous what you guys are doing, and ever so much appreciated by the community and the families. Just to finish up so people get a clear picture of if they can help and how easy that will be. Where your storehouse based, and where are these families located to know where they would be driving to, what scope we're covering?
So what we have done is we have basically, it's really the coast that Collective Calling is serving, but we've made it a little more simple by breaking everything up into areas. So we have, you know, one day is the Estepona, Diana Park area, one day is Nueva Andalucia, Marbella, and another day is San Pedro. And what we're really trying to establish here is really working into neighborhoods. So where each day has a delivery, that's where you would pick up and collect the food and then just deliver it close by into those neighborhoods. So the idea is really, you don't have to drive so far. If you live in Nueva Andalucia, you do a pickup, and we try to make it so that everyone is being able to serve their immediate neighborhood. So it's also building community. We're really trying to make people have the awareness that the people in need are not far away. They're your neighbors. And so really one of the themes is Unidad de la Comunidad, is to unify the community and really bring neighbors closer together. And then once you've established that, it becomes very organic, because it's not going and doing some community service. It's no, there's a family, you know, a few blocks down from you that are in need, and maybe the connection that you make makes you realize, hey, I have some extra books, I have some extra toys, let me drop that off. And what we're seeing right now with the volunteers that are involved is that there's a love that's being created between neighborhoods, and that's really what the idea is. And so I think the first step is, if anyone has the desire, is what we're trying to do is get as many volunteers, people who have the desire to serve. And then while we get, you know, information from volunteers, then we can see really what your capacity is. Okay, some people say they don't want to have contact with families because they have to have a responsibility to the elderly that's living with them. Well, we have other things that can be done in that measure. So I think the first step is, if your heart desires to be a part of this service and take action, to just, you know, we love to hear from you, and then we can tell you in detail the different roles that there are and see how you feel you can best serve. And even, you know, if it's just every other week. It doesn't have to be every day for 4 or 5 hours. But if we get together collectively, then we're able to delegate it so everyone can just do their little bit.
Without a doubt, unity, community, hashtag better together. But it really is. And thinking back, as you're talking about the barter system, you help somebody. These are very capable, wonderful people, and you just never know how they're going to be able to help you back in ways that maybe you never even anticipated. And as you're saying, Affy, it doesn't have to be 24/7, but the more people that contact Collective Calling, the easier for you guys to work out how to make it easy and local, to just keep a grip and not a linear way of hoping, a circular way of helping each other.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I think really the objective here and Collective Calling, within the organization's name, it says so much, because it is this concept of collectively making a difference. And everyone, if they just, it actually brings our communities much closer. It really we'll see a change when we're having that heart-to-heart connection. And so what we're hoping, what we've seen already with so many volunteers, it's just so sweet, because I serve as an area coordinator in San Pedro. And so when the volunteers that come here, it's just so beautiful, because they have delivered to these families. They bring extra shoes, extra clothes, because they know, oh, instead of me giving this to an unknown person or just throwing it out, they're now able to allocate that stuff to families in need. And it's also making a difference environmentally, because we're able to reuse resources. So it goes on beyond just that one act of service. It's really making an effect, and a social impact on our community.
Perfect words to finish on. Affy, congratulations and thank you for your work and continued work, which is what is so important. And we'll be in touch, and I hope a lot of people contacted you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you to everyone. Bye.
I can't say enough how heartwarming it is to see how our community has really come together during this COVID crisis. One of those people is mother of 4, Elena. Her, together with 3 of her eldest children, have been making these. Look, these are bracelets. It's called Heart Marbella. Each bracelet costs €25. But that €25 is enough to feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks. The money's being donated to Collective Calling, who's feeding right now over 300 families. And this is Alina's way of showing gratitude, I suppose, for her having food on her plate, for her and her 4 beautiful children, and giving back to the community. Please do contribute if you can. €25 for one of these fabulous bracelets. As I say, that money goes to feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks. 200 bracelets is their mission, to feed 200 families. I hope you want to help.